So I've got the Ford 1910 pulled in the shop here, but I've been using the tractor around and the 3-point hitch. The 3-point hitch has been getting progressively worse, and today it barely worked at all. So we've got pretty cruddy oil in there that we're gonna be draining. We've got our new stuff there. I have a filter coming on the way. And the other thing is the 3-point hitch, if you shut the tractor off, would always leak down. And usually that's a sign of a bad seal in the piston. Our piston cylinder is right in there. So the first thing we're going to do is pull that cover off, and it's just 6 19mm bolts. So this should be our cylinder assembly here. Alright. Now real quick, our O-rings on the outside look pretty good. I'm gonna get a light and inspect inside there real quick. So here's our cylinder. Piston should slide on out. There it goes. So you can see all that right there. That's what's left of our seal. I don't even know how this was working. That is like actually destroyed. There's the top of it. There we go. There is our piston. Now I gotta remember that that goes facing down. So this is for my reference. This flat side came out facing towards the bottom of the cylinder. So you see what's left of the old seal. That's garbage. So you can see the inside of our cylinder here. There's dirt, I just got that in there, but it's really not bad. No super deep scratches. So that's good. And I will make sure to get that extra clean before we reassemble everything. Alright, so our part came in. There's your part number right there. That's what the package looks like. And there's our new seal. Now before I put that on, I will say I did give this cylinder a very light hone. I say very light because the tolerances can be pretty tight in these. I don't know the exact ones for this, but I just gave it a very light hone for any imperfections. So here's our new seal. As you may be able to see, there's a slight lip on this side. Slight lip on that side. That lip needs to be facing the top side of the piston, so the piston with this sort of flat spot in it. As you can tell, this is definitely the back, because this is a spot that makes contact with that rod inside the casing in there. Now this is apparently pretty hard to install, and I can already see why. You want to make sure you install it the correct way the first time, because you'll probably damage it taking it off. So what I'm going to do is kind of oil up this piston, and we're going to try and squeeze that around. Alright, so there we have it. That actually wasn't too bad. Oiling it up, I'm sure, helped a good bit. I just use regular WD-40. The way I see it, it was like putting a tire on a rim, pretty much. Except you don't get to use pry tools. It's probably very important not to use a pry tool on this, because you can easily damage the seal here. Okay, so I've already cleaned out all the old dirt and stuff that was in here and in this. So we're going to go reassemble this and then put it back in the tractor. So the problem I just ran into is you see it won't go all the way back in. That's because the piston has completely reached the top. Since I took it out, the lift arms sank lower than where they normally sit. So I gotta prop those up some real quick. All right, so we propped it up just a little bit. All right, we've got it outside. We've still got oil in the transmission, and let's see if that fixed it. Okay, so it's working better, but it's still slow and kind of weak. Okay, here we are under the tractor. This one has, it's either 2 or 3 drain bolts. I found 2. There's one right here. This is where the clutch sits, right here. And then this is where the gear shifters are, pretty much. So there's first drain bolt. And then you come back here, underneath here. That's right at the bottom of the differential. That's number 2. So I've got my drain pans and buckets lined up already, or at least ready to go. And honestly, I don't know how much it's gonna come out. There's supposed to be a little over 7 gallons. I think it's 7.2 or 3 gallons. But you see we have a leak, but there's also water in the system. Not that much, but there's still some water in the system, so it could be more, or because of the leak, it could be less. We'll just see what happens. That's upside down, but there's our first bolt out. That's some pretty nasty looking stuff. I'm gonna do 1 bolt at a time just to make sure I don't end up spilling over the edge of the bucket. All right, there's stuff out the rear end. The top is slowed down too. I'm gonna let it sit open until the filter comes in the mail, just to really let everything drain out. I'm taking the filter off now. All right, let's hope this doesn't make too big of a mess. Just gonna transfer it right over to this. It feels very empty. I see some trash buildup in there. I do want to cut this apart and see if it's, you know, more dirty than it should be. So this right here is what I'm concerned about. Look at this right here. That feels like that's just hard plastic. I plan on figuring out some sort of way to empty all these lines as well. I want this thing completely freshened up. Okay, so apparently this is actually the 3rd drain location right here. I kind of skipped that part, but we'll go ahead and pull that out and see if anything comes out. The purpose of that was to drain the filter, but obviously I already kind of did that. But I'm gonna run through this whole system now while that filter comes in. It'll be a couple days. I'll show what's inside that, but I'm gonna let that drain for a little bit. But I'm gonna run through and just find any clogs or any debris and just take it out. Okay, so I've been cleaning out some of the lines while I let the oil filter drain, and this is what we had. You can see right there where I've kind of wiped away what it's supposed to look like new. It's just metal mesh. This thing has a thick layer of muck and trash all the way around. So I'm wondering if the pump was just not getting enough oil. All right, so our new filter is finally in. There's a part number. And here's a look at some of the old oil. You see how nasty this is. I left the drain bolts open while I was waiting for the filter to come in. We cleaned out these pipes right here, especially this large one. That is a return. The return sucks up from the bottom of the differential over there. up to the pump, and then it goes through the filter and then through the pump and so on. So I took that big tube off, cleaned it completely out, cleaned out the pump. I also flushed the pump with fresh oil. I then stuck a vacuum in there and sucked out all the sludge and stuff that I could get. And there's pretty much almost nothing of the old stuff left in here, which is what I want. There's very little. So we're gonna go ahead and get the filter reinstalled and start putting fresh oil in this thing. Okay, so in total, this tractor needs 29.6 quarts. I'm going to leave the filter off to begin with, just because I want to watch this and see. I don't think the oil would make it up to here, but I may put some in here just to kind of prime it up and give it a little bit of lubrication. Okay, I'll put a little in the pump. We have that bucket empty now. This is my first time using the buckets, so I didn't get every drop in, but pretty good. We've got 2 buckets, no problem. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on the seal on the filter, and we'll install that and put the rest oil in. Okay, so I'm gonna pull the tractor outside and just let it run for a couple minutes without touching any of the hydraulics, and just let it try and prime on through. Let it idle real low so it's not spinning too fast, and then we'll get an update on how this works. All right, so it's been idling for a couple minutes, getting that pump flowing. Let's try it out. That's perfect. All right, so there you have it. The filter was clogged, most likely, that's my guess. Obviously the piston seal was shot, and we got all the old crud out of there. So if your tractor's having the same problem, I would suggest first check the flow to the pump, check your fluid, and if that's all good, I'd check the seal. But fortunately, I got lucky and didn't have to replace the pump. Look at this boy. All right, so this engine takes 6.9 quarts of oil. I vacuumed out sludge in the bottom of the pan, so mine took just a bit more. But I've run it around for a little bit, and you see what vacuuming it out did. Normally this would be black already. That stuff's still golden. So that helps a lot. This thing's very fresh now. All right, so that about brings us to the end of the video. We got our fresh filters both installed. And I just went and bush hogged for probably maybe an hour. Runs very smooth, very good. So you see after some run time, the oil is still nice and clean. that means that we were able to get all the sludge out of that engine. I've checked the transmission oil, it was clean as well. So we did a good job getting all the sludge out. Filter changes were very important, very needed. So this thing's a smoother than a machine now. The only issue I had is I broke this, but it is what it is. We'll get that fixed up. Never seen one bend like that. But anyways, that's going to be the end of this video. This is just a short repair video and service, I guess. There'll be more videos coming on this tractor soon. I'm waiting on more parts to come in the mail. And I've got a couple other projects. I don't really know if I'm going to do anything with them. But hopefully, especially if this channel starts to or continues to grow like it has, I really appreciate the support we've been getting recently. But if we can keep this channel growing like it is, then I will definitely be able to continue to provide new tractor videos on different tractors. We'll do tons of will it run videos. The same thing with four-wheelers. So if y'all enjoy this type of stuff, go ahead, subscribe, give me a like or dislike, whatever you want. Leave a comment. And that's all for now.